Let's go. Here we go. What do you got? Should be easy. Easy questions today.
This is your guys' last Big East before Knoxville, before Tennessee on Thursday. Just what are you looking for in this game to get final tune-ups in, or just adjusting things?
No, it's not nothing's a tune-up. I mean, I've never put a lot of stock in regular season games, except, games in the conference that, you're trying to win a championship. And I think you have to stay away from the highs and lows of, playing non-conference games. That's why a lot of coaches don't play these games. I like playing them, but a lot of coaches don't play these games because you put, way too much into them, and then you come out of there with a win and you think you've solved all your problems. You come out of there without a win and you think you're the worst team in the country. So, for us to, we try to take it one at a time. So tomorrow's tomorrow, and we'll do what we need to do tomorrow and move on.
You like where your team is right now? It seems like you have a great balance of players who can score for you.
At times. I don't know that we're getting consistently high level of play. I think for the most part, Paige and Sarah have been pretty consistent, from the first game, that you kind of sort of know what you're going to get from them. Everybody else is kind of taking turns, which is hard to understand because I would think that if you get it going and you've got some level of momentum going, you just carry it over into the next game. But, we haven't really done that as much as I would like, where we have maybe 2 or 3 other guys playing at a real high level in addition to those 2. So we still got a ways to go, but so far so good. Yeah. When we're good, we're really good. And when we're not, leaves a little bit to be desired.
Is there something you're really encouraged about other than Sarah and Paige?
I think defensively we've been pretty consistent. That's been the one thing that I've been really happy about. And as long as we can do that, then the other stuff I always think will take care of itself. So yeah, I would say the defense.
What?
How would you assess your post play at this point in the season?
Fair at best. I think we have to get better in that area. That's going to be a big determinator of what we do going forward. If we can be, and we don't even have to be great at it, but we have to be better at it than we are right now. We have to be able to count on, both defensively, rebounding wise, and getting us a couple easy baskets. And it's been just fair at best.
Geno, I know there's going to be a little ceremony tomorrow, but can you speak to the relationship with SNY and what that's meant to the program?
Yeah, when CPTV started doing the games in '94, late '94, that kind of jump-started a whole new generation of people coming to our games, because for the first time they were actually, they had been reading about it, social media didn't exist, so they've been reading about it. The newspapers, were doing a pretty good job of covering the team. But once they saw it on TV, I think it just really kicked in a whole new adding to the fan base. That was a long relationship that was great for everybody. When SNY took over, there was a tremendous amount of consternation. Oh my God, this is going to be terrible. They're not going to do the same thing CPTV did. They're not going to care as much. And actually, they took it to a whole nother level. They took it to a level that only major league teams have. Okay, and what they've done to raise the awareness and spread our brand, and how they've treated it, and how they've treated our coaches, our players, our fans. Everyone involved has been second to none. I don't know that we could have done the same. We certainly couldn't have done better than what we've experienced with the people at SNY. I mean, how many women's programs in the country? How many Mets programs in the country have a pregame, halftime, and postgame show? I mean, it's, again, the same thing they invest in the Mets, they invest in us. And I don't know how many programs, men or women, get that kind of attention. So we're going to miss them. You know, they've been an unbelievable partner. I wish it didn't have to happen. I wish we could stay exactly the way it is. But, you know, we live in a world now where change is to be expected.
Yeah, it breaks up happy marriages.
Yeah, breaks up. Yeah.
What are your thoughts about going against Kevin's daughter?
You know, because she was at, Belmont, right? I mean, you don't get, how many times are you saying, hey, let me check on Belmont, how they're doing, you know? But now she comes into the Big East, and it's like, you know, where'd this kid come from? And it's, you know, she's a double-double machine, right? And they certainly go to her a lot. They run a lot of really cool stuff. You know, Austin does a great job putting his kids in really good situations. She plays hard. You know, she's a tough competitor. So I'm anxious to see her, you know, live and in person.
How do you feel about Aubrey's progression right now? Do you feel like she's starting to get the legs back under her?
You know, I watch in practice, and again, there's spurts. There's some good moments where it looks really, really promising. Right now, her best asset for us is offensive rebounding, getting us another possession. We've tried to do a little more full court stuff in practice to take advantage of some of the stuff that she can do. So hopefully, as we go along, we can get her more involved. You know, it's always weird when you go to sub somebody and they got you know, take all this stuff off, you know, because they're trying to stay warm, you know. So we'll see.
What has made your defense better? Are they just better connected as the season goes on, or are you able to play more guys? And
I think the fact that we're in some ways a little more knowledgeable about what we're trying to do. We're a little more experienced in some ways, even though you know, you've got, you know, Sarah's a freshman, Caitlyn's new here, but she's played a lot of basketball. You know, Paige and AZ have played. You know, if you think about it this way, two of our starters that were really in huge factors in what we were doing last year, KK and Ash, are able to come off the bench, and the pressure just doesn't change, you know? And so the people that we replace those two with are AZ and Sarah. So defensively, you know, we got a little bit different with our starting lineup, but the fact that we can bring those two off the bench when we go a little bit smaller a lot of times, that's a real tough matchup for teams when we're able to do that.
Coach, where have you seen Caitlyn grow the most, even in the short time that she's been here?
I would say offensively, I think she's I mean, there wasn't really any place for her to go that was different, because I tried to make it, do whatever you did at Princeton and do it here. And, you see her, she likes to get in the lane with the ball. I think she's become a much better three-point shooter than I think she was. Maybe it's because she's shooting more of them. I don't know. But when she's playing well offensively, that combination of she's here, Paige is here, Azzy's here, Sarah's over there, it's a really, really, really difficult assignment for the defense. So I think that, to me, her ability to make threes has been the biggest change.
Coach, when you sit down with your coaching staff, is there a specific topic that tends to come up more than others?
Yeah, we got to get better rebounding. We got to get, and I thought we did a great job against DePaul, considering that they're the best rebounding team in the league. So that's always a big factor, rebounding, making sure that we guard the three better. Those two things. I would say defensively, those two things, and offensively, the thing we've talked most about is how the ball can't get stuck on one side of the floor. And when we play like that, which we have, that's when we're at our best.
Geno, did you know Tom Jackson well?
Yes.
Yeah, he passed away.
No. When?
Yeah, the other day, Thursday.
Wow. Man, getting old. Tom's office was right next to mine in the old field house. So, it looked like a, a barn with horse stalls, all the way down, all in a row. Tom, me, Don Perno, Howie, and then all the other coaches. And Tom and I both loved the golf. He played at Penn State, and I remember those teams when I was a kid growing up. And I used to remind him all the time that I used to watch him when I was a kid. And never had a bad day. That's what I remember the most. Never had a bad day. Loud, fun-loving. Players loved him. Involved in all aspects of the athletic department. Took me on some trips to play golf. Just a really, really, really great human being. I'm sad to hear that.
Is Ashley a better player or a different player than she was last year?
I think different would be more accurate than better. I think she still does the things that she did last year. The defensive awareness is a little bit better. I think she's more aggressive and more involved. Her defensive role hasn't changed. She's made it a bigger role for herself. So I would think that would, and she's one of our better offensive rebounders. I'm always encouraging her to do more of that. So yeah, I would say those are the little subtle things that maybe people that don't show up in the box score a lot of times.
Is her defense a part of that
Yeah.
overall improvement
Yeah.
of your team defense?
I think, yeah, I agree with that.
Coach, Dan Hurley has talked about he has different mentors that he talks to about the game. At this point in your career, who do you talk to about the game of basketball other than your coaches?
Nobody really. I'm at an age where the more ideas that you put in my head, the worse it is. So every once in a while, I'll be involved in a conversation with some coaches, but hardly ever. anymore. I talk to my staff, more so than anybody. Yeah. Yeah. There's not enough space in my brain for any new ideas.
A few weeks ago, you talked about simplifying the offense and that really kind of sparking some things for some players. Have you kept it simple, or are you slowly adding
No,
to it?
a little bit. I mean, the problem, not the problem, but the issue is you can't come up the floor and constantly be running your half-court offense against a set defense, because any set defense, I don't care who it is going to make life difficult for you. So I don't care how many plays you have. I don't care how many actions you run. So by simplifying the offense, it included a ton of transition, a simplifying of the transition game. So that has helped us tremendously. If you see some of the games where we play our best basketball, it's because our transition game is really, really on that day. And that comes from because defensively we might force more turnovers, or, we get out on the break more on defensive rebounds. But yeah, I've got a card that I keep in my pocket. It's probably got 20 things on it, and we probably don't do more than 4 or 5 of them.
What do you think is just the biggest hurdle in preventing Ice and Jana from taking that next step into being really big post producers?
They're young, but I just, I don't think Ice likes being in the lane. I don't think she wants the ball in the lane. I don't think she works her ass off to get the ball in the lane. I think she's more comfortable facing the basket from 17 feet and shooting the ball. So that's one thing. I think Jenna's stubborn, man. It's hard to get through to her a lot of times. She's young and stubborn, and little by little, and she's a freshman, so she's not played, and she didn't grow up playing in this system. I don't mean UConn system. I mean this kind of basketball. So for her, there's a huge shift in what she's asked to do. The ball game. She gets a rebound, and there's Paige standing right here, and she just puts her head down and dribbles all the way to the other foul line. And Paige said, "You didn't see me?" She goes, "Huh?" Like, yeah, I missed the best player on the team. I didn't see her. So there's a lot. There's a lot, but we, as I said, we need them to be productive, and hopefully, Ice helps us a lot defensively, a lot. She's smart. She sees the game. Offensively, I think she'd rather face up and shoot a jump shot than play in the post. What can I tell you?
Cavs team coming off winning CT Ice last weekend, the hockey team.
Oh.
They're going to make the tournament for the first time in program history, and they could get 10,000 in Hartford tonight.
I hope so.
At XL.
I hope so.
They've obviously been good for a while, but what's it like to see them really take
Yeah.
that next step and become?
I watched the game last night. Cav's daughter works at my restaurant, so we watched the game last night, and the excitement, that they're generating right now, because, when you play in the best league in the country, and you are considered one of the top 4 or 5 teams in the country, that's a big deal here. And the new arena, Cavs a fantastic coach, and they play, the games I've been to, they play they skate so fast. They're so quick. And they're getting great goaltending. So it's probably not easy at this school, because there are programs that operate at such a high level that you want to be one of those programs. And if you're not, there's this, like we got to, you know, everybody else is in the postseason tournament. We got to get in the postseason tournament. You know, baseball's just starting up, and we're talking College World Series, you know, and you know, football, the bowl game, and men's and women's basketball, and you know, so if your kid's playing another sport, and hockey's a big deal. You know, they sell out every game over there. You know, when Cav got the job, I said, you have an opportunity to be the women's basketball of Hockey East, because for us it just evolved from nothing, and for them it evolved from an outdoor rink playing outside freezing your ass off, you know, to this beautiful, you know, arena that they have, and now, you know, on the cusp of playing in their first tournament. I just think it's been a great story, fantastic story, and it's got great kids, man. You know, it's old school, you know, coat and tie everywhere they go, you know. It's old-fashioned stuff, man. Old-fashioned stuff. And, you know, we'll see. We'll see. Man, it's a brutal game, man. It's a brutal game. I remember last year's game against, who was it, UMass Lowell? Was it UMass Lowell here? They had like 45 shots. The other guys had like 12.
Oh, that was the playoffs 2 years ago,
Yeah.
right?
The other guys had like 12, and they lose. You know, they must have missed, you know, 25 chances, you know, from here to there. You know, the goalie was so good that night, and it was brutal. It was brutal. Like,
Yeah, it could be very random what
oh,
happens in that sport.
you know, and somebody said, hey, look, we have 40 more shots than the other team in basketball. We're not losing that game, you know.
Yes,
So,
single elimination in that sport
and then,
is very
it's
hard.
brutal, brutal. And 16 teams make the NCAA tournament?
Yeah.
Ridiculous, right? I mean,
It's hard.
yeah, it's hard as hell, man. Hard as hell.
Did you ever play?
I did.
You did?
I had friends when I graduated from high school and went to college. A lot of guys that I played with in high school went to college in Canada to play basketball and football. So when they came back, it was like, come on, let's go play. And they're like, let's play hockey. I go, what the? What? Where? And they go, in the street. And street hockey. And then next thing you know, they were like hot shit because they had been doing it up there. And then next thing you know, we're renting ice time, and we're skating, and we're playing, and you can't get ice time, so it's, you know, 12:30 on a Friday night. What do you think we've been doing before we get to the ice rink, right? So it was a hell of a lot. It was a hell of a lot of fun. I loved it. I loved it. I don't know that I could have made a career out of it because I'm not that tough a guy, you know. But you got to be a tough guy to play ice hockey. All right, guys, you're on your own.